Fingerprint evidence indicates that you were there, right?
That's right.
Same thing with the DNA evidence. It was you that was there, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, after this shot rang out, you said that you went into a fog, right?
Yes, I began to go, things get foggy after that point.
So, with regard to the camera, can you tell us what happened to the camera?
I don't remember what I did with the camera.
You acknowledge, though, that immediately prior to what you describe as the killing, the camera was right here in this area next to the tub, correct?
That's the last place I saw it rolling. I don't know if it got kicked around or what. I don't know.
But you acknowledge, though, that, take a look at Exhibit 162. First, let's look at the date and time. You acknowledge that this says, or was taken on June 4th, 2008 at 5:32:16, correct?
Yes.
What time was your understanding that the roommates got home?
I didn't know.
So did you even know if they were there?
I don't remember if they were there or not at that time.
Well, do you remember that one of the things that you told us on direct examination was that when there were roommates, the two of you had to be careful in your sexual trysts so that as not to not awaken, but let the others know what was going on. Do you remember telling us that?
That's correct.
So if this was going on that date, it would be fair to say, based on what you believe, that they were not home, right?
This part of the day?
Yes, this part.
No, I don't think that would have made a difference.
What I'm saying, though, is when this happened, you believe that there were no roommates there, correct?
I don't know what time they got home. I don't know.
And you are wearing socks, right?
Yes.
And there is what appears to be a zipper on that foot, correct?
Yes.
If we look at this further, to orient ourselves, this is Mr. Alexander's head, correct?
Yes.
Blood right there, right?
Yes.
And that's his foot, correct?
Yes.
And given the way that the lights are in this particular photograph, the bathroom is in this direction, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that if the camera in Exhibit 249 was last seen here, do you see that?
Yes.
And things happen the way you say they happened, and we now have this photograph, that you were the one that moved that camera, right?
It could have been us both. I don't know, remember moving it.
Well, based on what you tell us, there's this gunshot that rings out, right?
Yes.
And then you don't remember anything, right?
I didn't say that. I said it got foggy after that point. The point where I can't remember anything is after he threatened my life.
What's that?
After he threatened my life.
Well, what is it that he said?
Fucking kill you, bitch.
So after that, after fucking kill you, bitch, you don't remember anything else, right?
No. Not except the one thing that I described.
Right. But you do remember, though, that as you ran down this hallway, you were not carrying the camera with you, right?
No, not the first time I ran down the hallway.
Of course not. You were concerned for your life, you told us, right?
Yes.
And you told us that the camera landed next to the tub, right?
Yes.
And so if this photograph was snapped at the time that we've agreed that it's snapped, and the camera, the last time you see it, is next to the tub, and then you describe what happens, that Mr. Alexander is down next to the tub, then it was you that moved that camera, right?
Objection calls for speculation. She said she doesn't remember.
Sustained.
With regard to Mr. Alexander, ma'am, the last memory that you have of him is that he was down on the ground, correct?
Yes.
And the last memory that you have of him is after you shot him, right?
Yes.
You never saw him walking around, did you?
No, I didn't.
And so if you didn't, assuming he didn't get up and walk around, and assuming you did shoot him, and assuming that the camera is where you told us that it was, then this camera, to take this photograph, had to be moved, right?
Yeah, it had to be moved.
And you would acknowledge that you did the moving, right?
Objection calls for speculation. She said over and over again she doesn't remember.
Overruled, you may answer.
Only under that theory. That would be right.
Well, you see him right there, ma'am? Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
No, take a look at it.
I've already seen it.
All right. Are you saying that in the condition that Mr. Alexander is in exhibit number 162, and you were there, it's your opinion that he, in that condition, could move the camera?
I'm not saying that.
So you did move the camera, right?
Again, objection, Your Honor. Argumentative. She's already said she doesn't know what happened afterwards.
Overruled.
I don't know.
And that camera ended up, as we now know, in a washing machine, right? You know that, right?
Yes.
You have this horrible incident that happens upstairs, and the camera is being used to photograph Mr. Alexander, right?
In the shower, yes.
Right. And then the camera is dropped, and then we see the photographs here. You would acknowledge then, ma'am, that under those sort of facts, it was you who put that camera in the washing machine.
Yes. I
Because
guess. I
this-
don't remember, but that would be logical.
Sure, because Mr. Alexander never left the upstairs bathroom, right?
I think that's right.
And you would acknowledge, ma'am, that if you did that, it would be an indication from you, at least you're saying that you're in a fog and that you don't remember, but it would be certainly an indication of your mental state back then that you picked up that camera and put it in the washing machine, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And it would be an indication, ma'am, that you knew what happened.
Yes, I guess.
And
I
it
don't
would
know
also,
why it went in the washing machine.
and ma'am, we know that this photograph was deleted from the camera, correct?
Correct.
We know that he's dead after this, right?
After this, yes.
And we know, as you just told us, that there was nobody else there, that no roommates were there, right?
Yes.
So, if he's dead, no roommates are there, this photograph is snapped, and it's deleted, you're the one that deleted it, aren't you?
That would make sense. I don't remember deleting it.
I'm not asking you if you remember now. I'm not asking that at all. I'm asking you, given the circumstances that we have here, you're the one that deleted it, right?
I would have to say yes.
And in fact, deleting something is not a once, given your expertise in cameras and photography, deleting something is not a one-step process, right?
That's correct.
And you were not familiar with this camera, were you?
Not prior to June 4th. Correct.
And so what this required you to do is, and I understand that you're going to say that you don't remember, I'm not asking that, but wouldn't you acknowledge then that it took some mechanical movement and thinking, and mechanical movement I mean fingers, and some thought process on your part in order to delete these images, right?
Cause for speculation.
Overruled.
I would agree with that.
And you would agree that the deleting these items from the camera was not in any way necessary for you to do prior to leaving Mr. Alexander's home?
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, there is nothing, you acknowledge that there is nothing that was pressing about or threatening about the camera that required you to delete these images, right?
I don't know what you mean by
Well-
threatening.
In order for you to delete them, ma'am, you have to view them, don't you?
Yes.
And if you view them, then the decision is made. And I know you're going to say I don't remember, but you acknowledge then that a decision is made by you to delete this photograph, right?
There must have been, yes.
And you would agree then that if the police don't find this photograph, that would be beneficial to you, wouldn't it, in terms of your culpability involving Mr. Alexander's death?
I would not agree with that.
Okay?